Hello Stampers, I'm Terry Hartley with Rustic Barn Cards. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. I'm so happy you're here. If this is your first time joining me, please subscribe by clicking the subscribe button down below. And thanks to those of you that are returning. Today, we're going to make a split card. So I'm going to make a split card, which is making 2 cards out of 1. So let me turn the camera down and let's start stamping. And I'm going to be using the Art Gallery stamp set and bundle. So I'm going to be using the bundle, and I'm going to be using the largest flower, and this is a 2-step process. And I'm going to be using the leaf, and then congratulations, and I'm thinking of you. Now you could use some of the other images too, of course, but that's what I'm going to be using today. And then with the Flower Gallery dies, I'm going to be using this die for our label, and we'll need the largest because this will stamp out our largest flower, and this die will stamp out our leaves. In the die set, you have this really fun extra, and this cuts out Just Want to Say. And then you also have the die for this image in our stamp set. And then the smaller label you can cut out the smaller greetings or sentiments. And then you have another die that will go over the smaller flower image. So this is really a really fun die set. So I'm going to lay that aside. And some of the sentiments: I miss you, congratulations, happy birthday, good luck, sorry, thank you, best wishes, you are lovely, I'm thinking of you. So I really like the variety of sentiments in this stamp set. And we're going to need Granny Apple Green for our leaves. And I'm going to be using Flirty Flamingo and Poppy Parade, which kind of goes with the colors in the Designer Series paper that goes with this set, but I'm not going to be using any Designer Series paper. And then I'm going to be using Daffodil Delight and So Saffron to make the flowers. So let's, before we start stamping, let's go ahead and bring in our card base. And this is Basic White, and it's cut at 8.5 by 5.5. And I'm going to turn the card this way and bring in a pencil and a ruler, and we are going to draw a line down the middle. So I'm going to line up towards the top, and we want this at 4 1/4. So I'm just going to put a little dot there. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll draw a straight line. Now you could do this with an ink pen, because we are going to be covering up this line. You won't see it. Okay, let me lay that aside. So we have a line drawn, and the reason, because we're going to be placing our flowers on this line. So let's go ahead and do our stamping now. So I'm going to bring in some Basic White. And we're going to start with Flirty Flamingo. And I'll bring in our large flower image. So we're going to stamp first the one that's kind of a more flat. So this is our second step, the one that has a little bit of a hole in the flower, little openings. So we want to start with the one that looks like this, and we'll ink that up. And I need to bring in my mat because we are using photopolymer stamps, and you do a better job if you're using a cushion underneath. And if you don't have a piercing mat, you can use a magazine. So I'm going to stamp about 5 of these. And when you press down, you want to do an even pressure and press straight down really, and then straight up. I'm going to switch, and we're going to bring in Poppy Parade. And then I've mounted my the other flower for the two-step. And then there's a little indentation here, and you can kind of see on this one also. So we're just going to go ahead and line it up. And what's really great about this stamp set, it doesn't have to be exact. Sometimes when you do two-step, it has to be exact. But what I like about this, it doesn't, and then it just gives you a little bit of that second color and kind of highlights the first. So again, I'll ink up our stamp. I'll line it up, press down, and straight up. And I'll do the same with the Poppy Parade on top of the other Flirty Flamingo. Normally when I clean my stamp, I just rub it against my my Simply Chamois. For a second there, I couldn't remember the name of it. Normally I just go like this, but sometimes in the stamp there you have a little bit of ink, and so if you take it and you just wipe it off like this, it works just fine. Okay, so I have 5. With first layer was Flirty Flamingo, and the second step was Poppy Parade. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in our Daffodil Delight. We still have room to stamp. And I'm going to use Daffodil Delight first because it's a little bit lighter. So we'll bring in that first flower stamp and press down. And straight up. Let me go ahead and use the So Saffron. And then we're bringing in the other second step of our flower. And we will line that up and press down and straight up. You see the highlights of the So Saffron onto the flower. So this stamp, especially when I rub it, there is still a little bit in the crevices, so you will want to make sure that you have it clean. Okay, let's lay that aside, and I already have some flowers already die cut out, but let's go ahead and make some leaves first. So we want to use Granny Apple Green. You could use any green. You could use Mossy Meadow, Old Olive. So I'm going to bring in our leaf and place that on my D block. Go ahead and take the flower off. And we'll ink up our leaf. And straight down and straight up. Now this leaf, it will, when it dries, it will change color just a little bit. So it'll be a little bit darker when it dries. We'll want about 4 leaves. And then we're going to use Memento Black for our sentiment. And one card's going to say congratulations. So I'll ink that up. I'm going to do that one more time. Put my hands on both sides so I can steady it, make sure that it's straight. And then I'm going to turn it over. place it down below because we are going to put I had that too close to the edge, so let me move that over a little bit. There we go. Clean those off. Because we'll want to bring our die in, and we'll want to put that over I'm thinking of you to die cut, and also the congratulations. And we'll bring in our leaf. Put it a little closer so you can see. And I'm going to line that up, and then I'm going to just bring in some little sticky notes. And I just like to do this, so I just feel better about when I run it through the die cutting machine that it's not going to move. And then I'll go ahead and run this through. So I'm going to move this out of the way, bring in our card, and I already have our flowers cut out. Those pretty. And our 4 leaves. Now I am going to do a little cutting on the leaves, and I'll show you that in just a second. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to place our flowers along this line, and it's okay if they overlap. I'm going to start with the Daffodil Delight and So Saffron, and I'm just going to lay, and it's going to a little bit more be on the left-hand side, and then I'm going to bring in the Flirty Flamingo and the Poppy Parade, and place that right here. And so I'm just going to kind of overlap, and I'm going to be doing every other one. You just kind of, each card is unique, so that's what's so fun, because you'll find that each card is going to look different. So I'm going to put 2 right here, and then maybe we want one over here. Or actually, I think I will put one here, and then one over here. And then we'll place our flowers. Now, because this leaf, if you're stamping on a card, you would line this up right on the flower. So like this. But so we don't really need this piece right here. So I'm going to bring my snips in, and I'm just going to cut that off. And it's going to look just fine. And then I can tuck my leaves in, and it's okay that it's going to be above. Anything that's above the cardstock, we're just going to cut off after we glue it down. I better go ahead and cut these off, put it off to the side. There we go. And we'll put one right here. And we need maybe up here. So then when you kind of have it like you want, then you're going to glue it down. So I'm going to try to move this, and we'll start gluing. So we'll bring in our adhesive. All right, I went ahead and I had to get a new bottle of liquid glue because my other one was just so close to being empty that I couldn't hardly get it out. All right, so now, I'm just going to kind of layer them one on top of each other. And you can make your flowers in lots of different colors. So Coastal Cabana, you could just do it over just with lots, you know, you just can have a lot of fun with this stamp set. And so you can turn it this way, you can turn it this way. I'm going to turn it, overlap a little bit, turn it that way. And I'm going to turn this like this. And you could also, I'm using all the large flowers in the stamp set, but you could there's a smaller flower in there too, so you could certainly use that. And I'm just kind of using, just going back and forth with every other color on the flower. And I'm going to go ahead and place that right here. So I'm kind of using that middle line as a guide. And then I'm going to come back with another. And I'm going to put that right here. And then if you want to, you can always add another, you know, you can overlap and put one over here if you want to, which I think I'm going to. We have this extra one. We don't want it to be by itself, so we'll just go ahead and add this. You can add that right here. And then we can just slip our leaves in. We can turn those over and just add some glue. Get our adhesive on here. And it's going to go above the cardstock, but that's okay. We can just cut that off. And I think I'm going to put, I have 4 leaves I cut out, so we're going to do 2 on each side. And this is really neat because we're going to have 2 cards when we're finished. Call this a split card. I'm going to kind of raise this up so I can slip this down in here. And then press these leaves down. And over here, I think we'll put one right here. So I'll add a little glue on the stem. And then I'll show you how we're going to cut this and how we can make, it makes 2 cards. But what's unique about it, every card you make is going to be different. So it's definitely a definite handmade card. I'm going to pop that up a little bit so I can put that right under there. Okay, so you will want to let it dry just a few minutes because we're going to use our trimmer, and you don't want to have any wet glue on your trimmer. So now, before we're going to cut this in half, use our trimmer, but I'm going to turn this over, and we want to go ahead and use your snips or scissors and go ahead and trim off the parts that are hanging over the edge of your cardstock. So we'll just snip those right off and get those out of our way. Then I'll bring in our trimmer and we will cut this. Okay, so we have our trimmer. that again. And we're going to place this at 4 1/4. So we'll line it up. I'm going to put my cutting blade down below my card so I can, as I slide up, it will go against here. I really like our trimmers because they have a place if you want to hang it on the wall, and you can move your blade out of the way at the top, and then you can use your scoring blade, and it moves out of the way. I'm going to bring this down here, get it lined up again, and close. And then I'm going to need to cut through here several times. And it is possible, even though I'm doing this, that I might need to, in places, use my scissors to finish cutting it in half. Cut it through several times, and let's see how we did. So if I turn it over, you can see that it cut here, and here, and on top. But I will need to go ahead and use my scissors or my snips to go ahead and finish cutting. So, because I have a lot of layers here, so, and I have a line to guide me, so that is good. And here we go. We have we can make 2 cards. So we need to bring in a card base for each of our cards, and we'll have 2 cards out of 1 piece of cardstock. So I'm going to move the trimmer, and I usually will cut this down because this would be, that way I can use layers underneath. So I will still go ahead and trim at the top and the side. And I always trim on this side so I can leave my flowers showing, and then at the top. And the same way with here, trim on this side and at the top or the bottom. And I already have 2 cards put together, so let me show you what these would look like. And I use the same colors. So here are my 2 cards. So these were lined up like this. And then I have the basic white. I used Daffodil Delight layer. And then I went ahead and added our split card. And I'm thinking of you. And I used the in color dots. 3 of those. And the Daffodil Delight for this card. And then for this card, I went ahead and used the basic white card base. And Fleur de Flamingo, and it's cut at 5 1/4 by 4. And then I went ahead and cut cut this down to fit on top of the Fleur de Flamingo. And then I added the rhinestone basic jewels. I added 3, and I typed in congratulations. And then here I went ahead and used the same die that I cut out the congratulations. And then I just cut it out of Fleur de Flamingo. And then I cut this out in half after it came out, and then I took my snips and cut it in half, and I glued half on top and then half on the bottom to give that look of the Fleur de Flamingo showing above and below the congratulations. So these are 2 cards, split card, made out of 1 layer of card. So you can get 2 cards out of 1. I think that is really neat. And like I said, they each come out differently. Of course, I want you to know the split card, after you make it, and we cut this in half, then all you need to do, you can just bring in a regular card base, 8 1/2 by 5.5 and fold it in half and then just add this right on top. So you don't need to add a layer underneath, you can just add adhesive. And it will fit right on top of your card base. You won't have to do any trimming or anything. And we're going to do the same with our other. So this is really an easy, quick way to make 2 cards out of 1. But you can cut this down and layer. That is fine too. And let me see. I think I'm going to place it with this side that's open here. I'm going to place it this way, so I have a different orientation. So for this card, it will open up this way, and for this card, it will open up this way. And then we can just bring in, I'm thinking of you. We can pop that up. We can pop up, congratulations. And if we want to put a flirty flamingo behind there, we sure can. And add some bling. And we have 2 quick cards. 2 cards from 1. Let me bring in the other 2 cards. So in these cards, we just added the split card on a base card base rather. And then on this card, we added the Daffodil Delight and Flirty Flamingo layer. I'm Terry Hartley with Rustic Barn Cards. Let me know, leave me a comment which card you like the best. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel. I upload on Monday and Thursday each week. Have a great week.